Just moments ago, President Trump defending his decision to fire the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner as we're standing by for him to announce a replacement. We also have new CNN reporting on what set him off, what happened behind the scenes before he ousted that top labor official, accusing her without evidence of rigging the job numbers. CNN's Elena Treen is at the White House now. She has this new reporting. What more have you learned? And Elena, what more are we hearing from the president just speaking moments ago?
Yeah, well, let me start with the second part of this, what President Trump is continuing to say this morning, because I'd remind you, this firing, of course, of the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics came Friday after that worse than expected jobs report, including some of the revisions down from previous months. And this morning he's still talking about it, arguing it's, the system is rigged, that it's political, all things that he's and other officials as well continue to argue without any real evidence. And it comes, of course, as we know, that the president said that midweek this week, at some point in the next couple of days, he is expected to name her replacement. But I want you to listen to what he told CNBC just moments ago, Jessica.
It is antiquated, but it's also very political. And, I had an election recently where I did very well, won every swing state, won the popular vote, won everything, all right? Won. It's, I think 87% of the counties were Republican up. That's never happened before. And yet I had to go through hell. And just days before the election, they put out numbers that it was like the country was on fire. It was doing so well. And then they did a revision about 2 weeks later, and the revision was down by almost 900,000 jobs. You remember that? And I said, I said, what would have happened? What would have happened if I lost? Think of it. I would have said they gave phony numbers and then they revised them a week and a half later.
All right, Jessica, the reason I want you to listen to that is because it's so in line with the reporting that we have about what really led to this decision to oust Dr. Erica McIntyre, the head of BLS. So part of it is because, as you could tell, Trump was fixated on this even before he came into office. I remember covering him on the campaign trail, and he was often railing against the job reports, particularly the revisions, and saying that it didn't seem right, okay? And then what I was told in the lead up and what led to this decision on Friday was that even though he had brought up McIntyre's name before, given she is a Biden appointee, something the president does not like, he doesn't like having Biden appointees in very high positions within his administration, he didn't really have any reason to try and axe her before Friday, because a lot of the jobs reports we saw in the first few months of this administration were actually very good. We saw the president and many other top officials here at the White House argue that the data in those jobs reports showed that the economy was doing well. But what really got under his skin, and this is what you're referring to about what set him off, what really got under his skin with that Friday jobs report was not necessarily the slowing of the economy and the adding of less jobs than they had anticipated. It was the revisions of the previous months that they had celebrated, May and June, that actually the number of jobs added was lower than they had previously said. This is what one White House official told me. They said, quote, "That's what set him off. He saw the revisions and knew something was awry for it to be changed so drastically. And this isn't a first-time thing, considering so many companies make decisions based off these numbers. It's an issue that needed to be fixed." And so, like I said, this was something he had kind of been thinking about previously, but Friday is what really came to make this decision. Now, I will say as well, we have some reporting that some officials here at the White House had tried to argue with Trump, sought to offer up explanations for why perhaps the economy was slowing down. But it was Sergio Gore, one of his personnel officials here in the White House, that was the one to remind him that Erica McIntyre was a Biden appointee. So that just gives you some insight into all of this. Now, my latest conversations with people here at the White House, they say he has not yet made a decision on who he is going to replace her with. But again, he has promised to do so midweek. And then just very, very quick.